the first place people often come across APSIM is at their website. So there's a heap of sort of information here. I'm not going to go all through it, but two tabs are useful: the download, well, particularly useful for us today, download and the documentation settings or options here. And so from in download, we've got the commercial and non-commercial license options. We can also go to downloads over here, but we've got to end up at the APSIM registration system. The key thing here is the different versions of APSIM. So we talk about APSIM Classic, which is the older version, still being worked on a little bit and used a lot, but effort now for the past year or so and the future will be into Next Generation. And you can see there are several different options for the different platforms that you use: Windows, Debian or Mac. Once choosing one of those, you've got to fill in your details and click whether you're going for a commercial or a non-commercial license. And as I've said before, for education and training purposes, non-commercial is fine, as long as you're not going to be making commercial decisions with the output. That's all I want to show you there. On the documentation side of things, that's a handy place to go. I'll just click on Next Generation. Well, there was a Classic option there as well, but I'll just go straight to Next Generation, which sends you over here. And under Model Documentation, we are presented with all the different models that are in APSIM Next Generation, that is, as of this latest update. And you can sort of read the date signature there, and the final number is the version number of APSIM. So there was an update on earlier today, actually, 14th of September. That's usually updated every day or two, usually not on weekends. And whenever there's an update done, that means there are one or more changes to the system being made, and all the models get rerun, checked, and their updated documentation produced. So here, for example, we have the Eucalyptus documentation, and that's exactly, we'll just download the PDF. It's exactly as it sits today. It goes through a number of the explanations of the equations behind the various functions. Note, Neil, that the map's not working these days. That functionality comes and goes. But the important thing is, for validations, is these observed versus predicteds. They look a bit messy because there are heaps of sites in these, so the legend takes up a lot of the screen. But you can also see the statistics, which are generally quite good. There's height and diameter at the moment, and this is just the grandest data set from Brazil and Australia in this validation at the moment. And that's above ground biomass, so pretty good agreement. Then it runs down through the individual sites and whatever graphs we've chosen to print out for the individual sites, and then there are some references at the end. So pretty useful documentation to see where things are at. Okay, so I think we'll actually go to the user interface now, which I've already opened up. It only takes a second to open. By the way, once you download it, of course you've got to, it'll send you an email, and there'll be a link in the email, and it takes 15-20 seconds to download. You install it on your computer, and then you see this user interface screen here, the two simulations I already have open here. So most of the screen is taken up with earlier simulations that you've done, which can be removed if you, for example, that one just went away, the most recent at the top. But the tabs at the top, let's just run through those. Obviously click on that if you want to open a simulation. It'll take you to whichever directory you worked from most recently. You can click on that simulation and run it, open it, I should say, and then do what you want with it. You can open examples. There are a couple of useful toolboxes here that contain components that help you build simulations. There's a set of training materials there, and this upgrade button, which is quite important. It's very useful to check what upgrades have been made available since you last used it. And I've just clicked on that, and I think because we're on WebEx, it's a little bit slow. Okay, so there's a new version available that wasn't available about an hour ago when I checked it, and I could go through the upgrade process there. It takes about 15 seconds to get a download on my connections anyway, and then you're re-shown this screen. So upgrades, very useful. It's a continuous, so I suppose you've gleaned from this, it's a continuous upgrade system. In the old version of APSIM, there used to be an upgrade every few years or something, every 6 months or whatever. This is apparently the modern way to do it, and that's the way we're doing it. Okay, what I want to do is just show you, for example, we'll download the Eucalyptus Rotation simulation. We'll have to store it somewhere, otherwise it won't run. So this is going a bit more slowly than I had hoped. It's not giving me the save as option as quickly as I would like. I might stop sharing and then go into this application, and then we'll be in there for a little while. Let's see. Now I'll go to 2 more locations before I do that. First of all, you store your simulations in a folder system, so wherever you like to store it. Today I'm going to run this demonstration from this folder here, and these folders contain at least the simulation you want to run, which is always a .apsimx file. Usually you'll have met files in the same location, or another. You can pull met files from other locations as well. That's quite easy to do, but here in this case they're all in the one directory, folder I should say. And the other one to note is an observed file, so we can open that and have a look at it. Observed files are useful for validation exercises. Obviously, they must initially contain a site name, and here we have, I don't know, 20 or 30 site names in this validation data set for Eucalyptus. Clock today and age, and then all the parameters that you included in that data set. And obviously, there's a set of observations per row, but not all parameters for all rows, obviously. Anyway, so that's the observed data. The other thing I wanted to show you was the background version control system sits on GitHub, which anybody can gain access through by registering and getting onto the registering to get into the APSIM part of that GitHub repository. And there's quite a well-controlled version control system there. And within that, I happen to know that under tests we have validation sets. So these are The validation sets exist for all the released models in APSIM X. There's another part of the repository for APSIM Classic. Within Eucalyptus, these are the files under which the current validation runs that I showed you in that PDF just a short while ago. There's the eucalyptus.apsimx file, tips of met files, and there's the odds file. Probably that's all I need to show you from GitHub. Most people never go to GitHub anyway. It's really only if you're doing model improvements, or you can raise issues this way as well. If you've spotted a problem, you can log a problem.